Good afternoon. Welcome to the Vandy 24/7 podcast presented by FanDuel. I'm your host, Chris Lee. We are joined by my friend Seabass from WNWS in Jackson, Tennessee. We will talk about Vanderbilt and its football game tomorrow with Kentucky. Diego Pavia's last home game. We may get into Jared Curtis for a minute. We'll probably talk hoops for a moment. And most of all, we'll take your questions in the mailbag, which is presented by Sutherland and Belk. We'll get to that later in the show. First, though, reminder, we are presented in terms of our football coverage by Joe Bulovas of Bulovas Wealth Management of Raymond James. If there is one thing we all share, it's that our lives are unique. At Raymond James, we believe that is worth celebrating because financial planning isn't just about numbers and figures. It's about creating the life you envision. So whether you are building a future or preparing for retirement, a Raymond James financial advisor can guide you each step of the way, all while following a path and a plan that's uniquely yours. That is life well planned. To learn more, call financial advisor and former Vanderbilt kicker Joe Bulovas with Bulovas Wealth Management of Raymond James. That number 615-645-6742. Raymond James and Associates, members, New York Stock Exchange, SIPC. Also brought to you by the Wash House. They present our basketball season. Commodores, it is time to win back your weekend. Skip the laundry pile and let the Wash House Laundry Center handle that for you. Our new pickup and delivery service covers all of Nashville. We'll grab your laundry, wash, dry, fold, and deliver it right back to your door. That leaves you more time for tailgates, highlights, and victory celebrations. Schedule your first pickup today at washhouseclean.com. The Wash House Laundry Center, the official way to stay fresh on game day. We are also looking for a sponsor for baseball season. If you are interested, reach out to me, chrislee70 at gmail.com. Seabass, my man,
Hey.
you're having a good week. Thanks for joining me. The big picture is much, much better this time around.
Yeah, I had my tech guy here at the radio station. He just fooled with some adjustments on my cell phone, which I have no idea what he did. Took them all of about 30 seconds, and he said, this should help. So you can tell a great big difference then?
Oh, it's night and day. Now, I thought you were a tech guy.
No, you didn't. No,
No, I didn't.
No, you didn't.
You were like the worst tech guy on the planet.
On the planet. Unapologetically. I like tech. I just don't know anything about it.
Well, you are literally one of the smartest human beings I know. I mean, I'm not saying that as false flattery. We both know that's true. You're not going to say it here, but I know it's true.
Oh, no, I'll say
you you have like inverse ability and stuff like that. Like there are kindergartners, there are preschoolers easily that could run circles around you with tech stuff.
Oh, it's not even funny, man.
It's a little embarrassing.
If book smarts, it worked out in my favor. Common sense, not so much. Which I'm 53 at this point. It's probably not going to be a whole lot of change from here to forth. So we'll see.
If you had common sense, you would not be here with me today.
That is a fair point. And but you know what I will say? I sure am glad that I'm here with you. Goodness knows we've got a lot to talk about. This time tomorrow, and I'm going to wax poetic or anything here. This time tomorrow, and it's not just him. When I say that, we got a lot to honor. There's no doubt about it. But tomorrow, now, technically, as Coach Lee said in this press conference, technically there's a so slight chance there could be another game in Nashville this year at Vanderbilt Stadium, but that's way, way, way unlikely. So more than likely this time tomorrow, we're watching the greatest Vanderbilt football player in program history take the field one last time. Yeah, with everything on the line. And I just, I'm so appreciative of the day that not just him, but we'd be remiss if we didn't highlight what he's meant to this program. I saw somewhere, I don't know if it was on the website or somewhere else, and they were a comparison of what people thought between Jay Cutler and Diego Pavia as if who were better. and with no disrespect to Jay, I've never met Jay. I've never had a chance to interview him or talk to him before. I love him. He's a former Commodore, but that's not close. Yeah. That's not close. This is the most productive quarterback. This is the most influential Vanderbilt football player that I can ever remember. And really, I can't think of anybody that's even a close second, to be honest with you. And that's not a slight to anybody. It's meant to talk about just how much Diego Pavia has meant to this organization, to this program. And frankly, to all of you out there watching, we dreamed about something like this, somebody like this. And it was in the most, the packaging is not what we expected by any stretch of the imagination. But 2 years later, here we are.
It is still the wildest thing that I think the men's basketball team may be the most talented one I've ever covered. And here we are almost to Thanksgiving, 2 years after the football program was darn near buried for dead. And they are an afterthought.
And you haven't seen a single, now, if we have, maybe I've missed it on the board, but we haven't seen that proverbial thank God it's basketball season post yet.
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, and we'll talk about them in a little bit. We got a fantastic basketball team, I think. But I mean, it's November, whatever the date is. I have no idea. but
that's probably true.
Oh, no, it's true. I know it's November like 21st or 2nd or something like that.
You nailed it the first time. So congratulations
good. On that. But here we are. And I mean, there's the possibility of this team playing in the second ever CFP. I mean, things have to happen, but everything is in front of us. And I am positive of it, because it was only just 2 or 3 years ago when what'd they say? The worst job in America is Vanderbilt. The most impossible place to win is Vanderbilt. It's crazy because, I mean, and look, I get it's a new generation, but Diego and this whole class and everybody involved in Beck and Kill and everybody else, they didn't hear any of that. They don't hear any of that. They when you say that, when people said that to them, it's as if, what are you talking about? No, it's not. This place is fantastic, and we're going to show you. And then they went and did it. And then these guys went and did it. So tomorrow, I'm hopeful. Kentucky's a tough football team, and I've got a great deal of respect for the way they're playing right now. But I think you're probably going to get the best we've got tomorrow.
Yeah, I've just had a feeling for a while that week off will really help. And Kentucky's been really good the last 5 games.
Quarterback change did everything for them.
Yeah. Well, and it's not just that. The defense has played really well. Like, the defense has played really well 4 of the last 5 games. The exception was Tennessee. And, they've been balanced. That, Cutter Boley, can win them games. He can also lose them games. But I just think that Vanderbilt will benefit a lot just by having a week off. In Kentucky, this is 6 in a row, I believe.
Yeah,
I wonder if you will see that. Well, and plus, like, if you've looked at the injury list, and I'm going through it right now for Kentucky. Now, a lot of these guys, you have to really sift through the injury report. Some of these are guys that, played 13 snaps all year and weren't going to be a big part of what they did. But they do have a significant part of their depth at defensive back out. And I think maybe a starter or two. I'll dig into that here when we're done. And an edge guy who's played a ton for them too.
Yeah, I think was it Alex Afari?
And Afari's not even among those guys. He's questionable.
Yeah. That's also what I was going to ask you, if there's been an update today on that, if we've seen
the last thing I saw was the Thursday night, and he was listed questionable.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, and don't get me wrong. No, they're going to fight. They're always a tough out. There's no doubt about that. But, man, we know what's in front of us, and it's always been one game at a time. This team hasn't overlooked it. They weren't looking past Alabama or Texas. We just lost those games. And there's zero chance that this team is looking past Kentucky. They understand. They understand that they beat them, Florida by 31. They understand that they've won, what is it, five in a row? Is it somewhere around there? Like
3 in a row.
Three in a row, and like 5 of the last.
Yeah, they lost to Texas, lost to Tennessee, and then beat Florida, Auburn, and Tennessee Tech in that order.
Yeah, beat Auburn in overtime, and then lost a double. Was it a double overtime to Texas? I think something along those lines. I mean, they've been.
I think.
Yeah, they've been in these games and they've played quite well lately. So I don't expect any difference because look, here's the deal: they're fighting for bowl eligibility still. They've got to win one more game, and so we're going to get the best they have too, I think. But I think when it all is said and done, Vanderbilt didn't come this far. Vanderbilt did not beat the teams that they've beaten to lose at least a chance. I mean, they want to go into Knoxville. They want to go, first of all, they want to go undefeated at home. And who could have ever seen that coming? But if they win that game tomorrow, that's exactly what's going to happen. They want to be able to go into Knoxville at 9-2 with at least a chance, at least with a chance to win that football game. And it's not hope talking. I just think they're the better team. I think they're in for a war, but we've had a few of those. We've won wars. We know we can do that. They have another one tomorrow.
What's your biggest fear for tomorrow?
Honestly, paper cuts. But other than that, I don't know that I fear anything, Chris. It's not anything that I fear about Kentucky. It's not that I fear an emotional letdown. The game's a sellout. I don't think the weather's going to be a big issue. So, I mean, I could come up with some homogenized answer, but the truth of the matter is, and maybe it's confidence, I'm not sure. Maybe it's just confidence in the product that I've seen. I don't have a fear going into tomorrow. Is that a silly answer? It might be, but that's why I don't have a fear going into them.
I think they're good enough. I think they should handle their business. I think they should cover the 8.5 for our partners at FanDuel.
Do you really? Now I will say that. Yeah. If I had a fear, it would be. That seems like a lot of points. I will say this. Let's look at our wins at home in the Southeastern Conference. Okay. LSU. Okay. That now
covered, but that could have been 14.
They won by 7. Let's see, Missouri
won by 7.
They won that thing by 7. How many SEC games have we won by more than 7 points?
South Carolina.
That's it. And that was on the road, and that was great, and I'm happy about that. Now they've since won one conference game all year. So I don't think we can continue to beat the drum that they're a good football team. They're not. They're a tough football team. Things haven't really gone their way, but they're not a good football team. They've won one conference game, so we can't call it that. But we are not blowing SEC teams out at home. We're winning wars. This game fits that bill. So that's a pretty lofty number right there. I like Vanderbilt on the money line, and maybe they cover that. But I think this is a 1-possession game too. I think 2-possession line is too much in this one.
See, I don't know that I do.
Why?
But
because what about? Let me ask you this: forget about
the models put them closer to 10, and they have beaten those numbers all year. I just think the week off is going to help. I just think their offense right now. Look, and I'm not ruling out. I mean, you know me. I said I was that Auburn game. I thought should scare the socks off them. You saw how that played out.
Yeah.
I just get a different feeling about tomorrow. Their offense right now is so unstoppable. Like when they go tempo, they were incredible.
Yeah.
I just think they've got that top end of playmaking that I don't think Kentucky has right now. Now, I will tell you what I'm a little afraid of is like sometimes you get in one of those games where you outgain the other team, 450 to 309 or something like that. But you turn one over in the red zone and somebody throws a screen pass and breaks it for 60, like happened against LSU, and your kicker has an off day and your punter shanks a punt. Like those games happen to you, a lot of times once a year. And sometimes you win a game on the box score, you look like the better team, but and Kentucky is good enough. And I'm like, by the way, I'm not saying that's the only way Kentucky can win. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
I'm just saying like the SEC is so competitive top to bottom that nobody's a pushover. And like sometimes you just have one of those days where it doesn't go your way.
No, I can't push back on that. And we've won games that we've lost in the box scores.
Yeah. Right.
We lost the Missouri box score, but we won the game, and I'm trying to remember, didn't we lose the Auburn box score too?
by a little bit.
By a little bit, and we won that game. So we can lose the box score, still
Well,
win the
it depends on what you look at. Like yards per play, they won it, which that's they're averaging more yards per play than any team in the league.
It's just that blows my mind in this sense, because we don't have what you would consider to be a. I want to make this sound right, because I like our backs. I do. I mean, we have a rotating backfield. Plus, you got to throw Diego in there, but we don't have a Jeremiah Cobb. We don't have a Lacey. We don't have a Cobb. We don't have those guys, but yet we still produce.
Well, I mean, they've got, Laster's taken one for 40 and a touchdown. Alexander's taken
once in the last month, maybe.
Touchdown. Yeah, but they didn't have it at all last year. Young took 180 for a touchdown. I'm just saying that's like three backs that have broken.
Which is why I'm saying, which is my point. What I'm saying is we have a rotation of guys. We don't have that one guy. We don't have a Lacey on this team.
Well, you don't have a Ralph Webb Lacey would be a different game. But I get it. I mean, now most teams don't. But
we still put up the numbers because we just we've talked about this all year long. The balance of this team, and it's on everyone. They're not going to forget how to do that. They're not just going to come out there. Well, it's not. That's not been the case. Even when we've lost football games, we've shown flashes in those games, and generally in a lot of those things, it's something we did to hurt ourselves. I think that we could slip a time or two against Kentucky and still have enough to come back and win that game. I think so.
Yeah.
You can't do that in Austin. You probably can't do that, obviously, in Tuscaloosa. You could do it at home. I would make it a habit of it because Kentucky's got enough that they can, obviously, since the quarterback changed, that they can make you pay for your mistakes. So, but I don't see that. I think this team is focused and ready to play.
I would like to see them hold somebody, say, under 21 again. Maybe under 350, 3.25 total yards, and just. They don't have to be an elite defense the way their offense is, but if you're playing for the goals they're playing for, Kentucky is not Ole Miss or Tennessee offensively. You need to, you need to show up and not make, the other guy look like an All-American quarterback like they did with Ashton Daniels.
Yeah. And of course, thing with Daniels, I'm not so sure that he might not be in waiting. And I like the way they're handling him this week by not playing against Merck. Because what sense does that make? You let him play in the Iron Bowl and keep that red shirt, and they may have their guy going forward. They may not.
Wouldn't that be wild if Vanderbilt was the team that gave Auburn the confidence to beat Alabama, and you did just enough to win it, and then they're able to knock Bama out and maybe get you in the playoff?
Yeah. But As I went back and watched that Auburn game a couple of days ago, and more than I look at, I think, well, what did we do so badly? Why did we, regress so bad defensively? And the numbers say we did, but I was watching that and I was like,
no, they make some plays too.
Auburn's really that talented offensively, in this iteration of Auburn, with Daniels and Coleman was. Am I going to get mad because Coleman's going to eat against anybody if he gets somebody and get a football? So those are things that I'm all right with. I don't like it, but I understand those things. But just a long way around the world to tell you that I don't have a fear when it comes to this game.
You know how in baseball, every once in a blue moon, some random guy will throw like a one-hit shutout. That's a fourth or fifth starter. Yeah. Not that I feel like they've run in a couple of those lately. Like, and like I tried. You heard me say Auburn's got some talented players, but they've had some dudes like the plays that Coleman made, some of the throws Nussmeier made. Them missing getting to a quarterback by just a little bit. I'm not going to say they played well, but I do feel like there's been a little bit of, I don't know if bad luck is the word, but you know what I mean? Like I feel like they've gotten the other guy's best a lot on offense lately. And maybe some of that is them, right? I mean, I think some of it has to be them. I do think like, I remember watching LSU and Nussmeier's just making throw after throw with guys breathing in his chin strap that he didn't make all year. So,
He really did. There was a couple of those. These are donkeys. These are sure interceptions. And he made the throw. Now he paid the price for it, but they got the completion on those. Yeah, that was a wild, because there was a couple of those. I was like, oh, this is going back the other way.
Yeah.
And they ended up being big plays for LSU. So I certainly understand where you're coming from. Do you know another thing that makes me fairly confident about tomorrow is just the fact that, and hang on one second if you don't mind. But I mean, other than Issa, we've just been healthy all year.
Well, I will give the caveat, and I've done this. I have heard they were not nearly as healthy. I think maybe particularly along the lines of scrimmage, and maybe particularly defensively, is perceived.
Talking about the Auburn game.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not going to say we're about to find out. I mean, maybe for all I know, those guys are still really beat up. But I think like it wasn't enough to keep guys out, so I would think the 2 weeks really helped them. And like here's one other thing too. Like anybody and everybody was getting pressure on Auburn. There were a lot of times that Daniels just stood back there and had a lot of time. So I do wonder if that had something to do with it a couple of weeks ago.
Maybe, maybe, but we've, there's been times when the defense has given up a little bit too much.
Yeah.
There's also been times when they gave up a bunch of stuff in the box score, but not points.
Yeah.
I mean, because look, if I'd have told you before the season started, and if I get this wrong, just let me know. This is going to be by memory, but let's see. 6 points for South Carolina, 24 for LSU, 10 for Missouri. Was it 20 for Virginia Tech, something like that? Somewhere
7 for Carolina.
Yeah. So 7 for Carolina State. It was 6 for some reason. But yeah, that's kind of my point. I mean, we've given up some points, but we've only had a couple of games where, and even the Alabama game, remember that's the last. It was 23 points at that point, so that walk-in touchdown that did not matter, game was over type of deals, really. I mean, for the most part, the defense has kind of done their part throughout the year. There's been games like the Auburn game, like the first 3/4 of the Texas game that certainly got away from us. But for the most part, this defense, nobody's going to confuse it with the 85 Bears, but it's pretty productive. Been pretty
okay.
productive.
I've been a little concerned since that Utah State game, and they just really haven't clicked since then. And I get some of it was late in garbage time, but man, Barnes was making some throws that day.
Say since then, but Missouri was after the Utah State games. They held them to 10 points. We could say, well, Bo Perbula went out and backup was better than he was when he came in.
Yes, he was. Well, I mean, they still got. What did they get in that game?
Hardy was held under 100 yards in that game.
Well, they got 376. And it was under 5 a snap, and frankly, you should probably take. What was it, 40 or 45 off? Because I don't think that pass at the end was complete. I mean, like, who really cares? That would have really made that number look good. But anyway,
they're good enough to go with they're good enough to go with
NFL players on that side of the ball. For them, at least a couple.
Yeah. I mean, I'm good with where we're at. We'll need to continue that and improve that, especially in Knoxville next week. But I hate to be cliche, but right now, and we'll think about that next week. But I'm not really thinking all that much about what's going to happen with the CFP or what bowl game we're going to, or what's going to happen in Knoxville. Really, I sound like such a coach. All I can think about is Big Blue right now. The only thing I'm thinking about.
And look, you don't know what's around the corner. They may get smoked in Knoxville. They may win and not get in. But, like, if you beat Kentucky tomorrow, that's a quality win. And, like, how many times have they gotten to November? And, like, that's a big game just for respectability. I think the goals have moved so far into playoff. Like, overlooked is, like, if they win tomorrow, that's generally an accomplishment by this program.
It's the first 9-win regular season since like around World War I or something like that. I think
probably.
It was. Maybe in the World War I era.
Who knows? Maybe. Yeah. I mean, it's been a minute.
I think that's right. I think it's like 1915 or something like that. Franklin had back-to-back 9-win seasons, but that was after winning bowl games. Right. So this is kind of uncharted territory, at least in my lifetime. I don't know about yours, but man, it all starts with tomorrow right there. Nashville. Let's go. Let's get it.
Anything else on that one?
No, we'll talk about that on the other side of that. Of course, it's been a bye week, so it feels like 2 years since we played a game. Just ready to go. But I do feel good about this one, and I do. And man, let's send them out right. Let's send them out right. We've been there this whole year. The students have showed up, and now the game is sold out. Let's send these cats out right, man. Get them going to Knoxville at 9-2.
Do you want to talk about the Jared Curtis thing? Whatever.
Sure. Fire away, big man.
Well, you
sorry about that. I got a zipper broke back here. I apologize. I'm not crazy. It's bugging the crap out of me.
Not affecting the podcast so far. Let's hope it does.
Give it time. Yeah. Now, Jared Curtis, fire away.
Well, I mean, rumors have been flying. I'm not sure. Let me put it this way. I've not said much on the board because I don't know what to say. Robbie and I have been spending our day digging into it a little bit, and we'll give you what we have. I will just say this. I've heard some pretty wild stuff about money and promises that I don't think either of those things are true. By the way, it's not to say they can't get him. I think they very well can and might. But there's been so much urban legend, for lack of that's not the right term. There's been a little bit of myth in this that I don't think is true, and it makes it a little bit hard to know what to believe. That's number one. Number two, I feel like both sides are getting what they've wanted to hear. You know what I mean? Like I don't get the sense, and this is complete editorializing, but it's hard to call a coaching staff that's had you committed for how long now? And you decommitted once.
For the second time. By the way.
Right. When you got relationships and stuff like that date back, and your parents like the school and all those things. I'm always, no matter what the situation is, I'm always a little bit, let's pump the brakes on that until, phone calls have been made and you're forward facing about where you are to everybody.
That's the least thing that I'm worried about is how hard the phone call would be. Because I get it.
Well, no. That's not my point. My point is, I'm just kind of all right. Look, there's been a lot of optimism out of the Vandy camp for a while, a lot of it, and I get it. But there's also been this steadfast. He's firmly in the Georgia camp from the other side. And a little bit of digging I did. I'd say my information's probably a week to 2 weeks old, probably on the shorter side. I would, based on what I know and where it came from, and it was very good information. I would say that I think he would have been in the Georgia camp a week ago. Like that's where people thought he was headed. Like, no agendas with information outside the situation. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And
sure,
I'm not saying that. I think Vandy's sticking around. Like let's flip the situation here. Like let's say it's the Lane Kiffin thing and with Ole Miss, and I have no idea what's happened today. I've been underwater with other stuff. If you're Ole Miss, you got to be nervous that he can't tell whoever no. And I think if you're Georgia, you've got to feel the same way about Curtis. I want to be very clear. There's going to be some information gathering that I'll be doing tonight. Maybe it's going on as we speak. To why I'm hoping we can speak to a little bit more clarity to the situation. There's also the possibility, sometimes when you are committed, staffs like to keep that a secret too. And by the way, I'm not trying to talk cryptically. I'm not. So don't read anything into this. I'm putting it as plainly as I can, without burning somebody in terms of, specifics that might finger a particular person or a source, if that makes sense. I'm not trying to tell you anything cryptically. I'm just saying I've done this long enough. You learn to be skeptical until the hard evidence starts to pour in. And even then, you may not get it because it might be one of those things that a staff likes to be kept very much under wraps.
I get it, but the things that Vanderbilt has in their favor are fairly significant things.
Sure.
And we can talk about tradition and all these other things, but when you have a guy who is of his caliber, and make no mistake about it, the hype is deserves. That dude's incredible. He's as good a high school high school quarterback prospect as I've seen. He's that good, in my opinion. He makes throws that he shouldn't be able to make, the ones that you would say don't do that, but he does it with efficiency and can do it consistently over and over. And how do you tell somebody? I mean, do you tell Pat Mahomes don't do a no-look pass? No, because he can do it, and he can do it quite well. And that's not what I'm talking about, no-look passes. But the things that Jared Curtis is good at, he's not good at. He's uber great at. And it's the kind, if any true freshman can walk in the SEC and start, it's probably him. I that's not because I want to get him real bad or that we have a shot, but every time I turn the film on, I can't believe what I saw. And don't get me wrong, and I like Ward and all that, and some of the other players there at Nashville Christian. They have no business beating people like Innsworth and Tyner Academy, but they did. Because they have a quarterback that just has no equal that I've seen in the state. And there's been some very good quarterbacks lately. You look up and, there's a cat by the name of Ty Simpson that's playing at Alabama right now, who's from there. Graham Simpson, his brother's going to smash every record. And there's no doubt who I would take among those three. It's Jared Curtis. And he's got a real opportunity, but no matter how many national championships Georgia wins, no matter how good Kirby Smart is, no matter how great they are at recruiting, Kirby Smart's not going to offer him the starting quarterback job. Now, he'll say, you can come in and give it a shot. We like our quarterback now. If you can beat him, so be it. And they just got a commitment from the 2028 number one overall quarterback, if that matters. But Jared wants to play. And let me tell you something. I want people who want to play. I'm not saying he wants to be given that job. He knows he's good enough to have it. But those are some things that Vanderbilt can offer that Georgia just simply either can't or is not going to. And if I'm Georgia, I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
I
think some of what has been offered is very overblown. I'll just leave it there.
I bet you the opportunity to be the starting quarterback at Vanderbilt has not been overblown.
Opportunity or a promise of being the guy?
We could, yes, there's a difference. Yes, there's a difference between promise and opportunity. And that doesn't really strike me as a Clark Lee type of thing to promise a high school football player that he's a starter. And I get all of that. This is just a different animal altogether.
Yeah. It is. They've never been in this
because it's not even just so much about it's the message that's sent to college football and high school football prospects everywhere about this football team. If they can win this, if they can take him away from the mighty Georgia, and it's not like this guy grew up in black and gold and been a band. All he ever dreamed about was playing on the West End, so if they can find a way to win this battle, look, I'll just say this. I would be stunned if they could bring somebody. There's not anybody on our current roster, I can tell you that, with all the love to them. Of course, we don't know about the transfer portal. That's better than Jared Curtis. It's not.
Yeah.
They're just not.
By the way, Robbie Weinstein, within the last 45 minutes, and I didn't see it because I was getting ready for our show, has dropped a really good update and very well written and very well phrased update on our board. He and I kind of compared notes a little bit today, and we're both kind of, stuff's been out there. We're both, wait a minute, that's not jiving with some things we've heard. I'm not taking shots at any particular person or anything, but just saying there's a lot of fiction in recruiting sometimes. And you got to do your diligence a lot of ways to sort out what you think is true and what's not.
So I know you're not going to tell what that is, but based on the conversation that we're having, is it a narrative changer? Because I'm doing this right now.
It's clarity. It's clarity on some things that have been out there. It was not written with a point of view. It was just, here are the facts,
gotcha.
which is what he's really good at doing. Like he's Robbie's the best guy at covering Vanderbilt recruiting that's out there.
And, the other thing that's got people kind of stirred up this afternoon about Jerry Curtis is the decommitment of Michael Mitchell Jr., who's been committed
there's, by the way,
well over a year.
I will save it for our subscribers, but information on that is on there too.
Okay. Now you're making me want to turn off the podcast and go read it.
I don't mean to be that jerk, but we do have to write paychecks and stuff, and that is part of what we do. And if you haven't subscribed, you need to. We may not always tell you what you want to hear, but I think our stuff is pretty well sourced and it's accurate.
Well, I mean, in about 20 minutes, I'm going to know what it is, so I'm excited about it.
And by the way, this is not me cryptically telling you Jared Curtis is not coming to Vanderbilt. Again, I would encourage you to read the update. It outlines a lot of things, a lot of stuff that's out there, and I think he did a really good job of trying to tell you some details on the situation. And I'm guessing holding some back and protecting some confidence. In fact, I'm pretty sure of that based on our conversations today and kind of comparing some notes. So
right, because if you were
and that's part of the business. People don't understand it sometimes. That's just part of the business. You get things that you use to form your opinion. You cannot always articulate those things for a variety of reasons.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. All right. So I got about 20 minutes left. I don't know if you have a mailbag or want to hit some basketball.
I do have a mailbag, and let me see if I can find it.
Were you at that game last night? Were you able to attend the game?
No, I watched from TV. I've got my afternoons are just busy with pickup from kids, sports, and my life is, I don't know where I'm going to, my life is about to get a lot busier this year. My daughter's playing lacrosse at the high school level, and their program is pretty serious about it. They've got off-season workouts she's involved in. And my son just got notified he made a travel baseball team today.
Nice.
After he made the middle school team. So this is about to go from I already don't know how I'm going to manage all my time to another level up from that. But hey, it is what it is. But no, that was part of the reason I didn't make the game. I did watch from TV. We did have Elena there, thank God. So your podcast, as always, is presented by Sutherland and Belker, the Mailbag. That's a family-owned injury law firm. If your loved one has been hurt in an accident, give Taylor or Russell a call, 615-846-6200. See what their rights are and if they can help. I don't know if this is a favorable point to make about a lawyer or not, but really, really good dudes, smart guys. Hope you never need their services, but if you do, man, I like those guys. Like them a lot, and you should give them your business if you have the chance. Guest line presented by John Levin and Womble Bond Dickinson. Also, Yeaman Packaging Systems, leaders in end-of-line packaging automation. Those guys are friends of the show. We appreciate what they do to help us out here, too. Pessimistic Door. If Curtis was leaning towards a flip, why is he telling Georgia what they want to hear? Is he trying to leverage? He said, I'd be trying to leverage more out of Georgia. Look, that is speculative. I've kind of outlined my thoughts on it. I think his family may have some opinions about that in terms of, they have relationships. You build relationship with coaches for years, and those things are valuable things. And even if you change your mind, it's hard to, you know what I mean? Well, I've said this already. I can add nothing more.
Well, and it's an interesting dynamic because when we start thinking about loyalties at this point in the game, because you are, and by the way, I appreciate it, and I think competitors do. That's great, and those relationships are cool. But as soon as they hang up the phone with you, they're trying to recruit over you.
I don't feel bad for Georgia.
What do you owe them? What do you owe them at the end of the day?
Well, I would like to think that if I don't know. I don't like the whole flip thing to begin with. If you're not committed, just say, hey, I'm making up my mind. That's not how I would like to deal with people. I'm not saying things can change, and I know this is football, and I probably see stuff different. I get it. And hey, Vanderbilt had a big commitment, and had him wrapped up for a while. Georgia came in and got him. That's business. I don't feel sorry for Georgia. I'm just saying, I hope that if I ever get to the point where my kids are being recruited, and I'm not knocking anybody here, but I would, tell my kids, hey, like, unless something changes when you make your commitment, what does the word mean?
Right. Just, I mean, and look, I operate my life and I feel the same way that you do about that. And in reality, how somebody else would handle it with, in dealing with me is not going to change how I do it. But as I said, this works both ways. They're constantly looking to find somebody better than you, and we'll pull the trigger if necessary. So, I mean, it's just where we are with this now. Nobody said it was pretty. We wanted to be in the big time. Well, this is what the big time looks like. Sometimes, and that's not a fun answer. I don't operate my life that way, but that's where if you want to be this is big business, and we want to play with the big boys. That's what you have to do. Right. It's true. I mean, it's true. It's not pretty, but it's true.
I'll leave the first couple words. Bob and Chris. Who's this Bob guy? Do you know him?
I don't know what you're talking about.
There's 2 words in front of it. I'll keep it clean.
Did I put something on the screen silly again?
Not today, but I think people have memories.
You mean from the couple weeks ago?
Yeah, I'm not that prudish. I don't.
Yes, you are.
I don't want to be the guy to say something in case somebody's out there listening with their 7-year-old.
Yeah, you're talking about B&B, right?
Yeah.
I got you.
That B&B dude, he was something.
I still maintain my innocence, so here we go.
I don't think you would know how to do that if you had to.
Probably wouldn't. But now, what was the question?
Well, I haven't gotten to the question.
Okay.
Which is more important to the long-term success of the program, upgraded facilities or Lanning Curtis? If you had the money to do one or the other, which you're putting your chips on?
I really want Jared Curtis, but I don't think that's the answer. Now, he could continue the work that Diego Pavia has done and take it to another level potentially, and the message that it sends is great. But if we have the opportunity to upgrade, and we have, and we do, and we are, and we continue to win football, because you can win football games if we don't get Jared Curtis.
Right.
At the end, I want you, but Jared Curtis also has a shelf life. Whether it's 1 year at Vanderbilt or 4, and he's even better than Pavia, and who knows how all that works out. But those are the things that are tangible and sustainable, and they can bring other outstanding players in that can have a long-lasting effect. Both can, but if you make me pick between those two, it's not really a difficult choice.
So you're taking Curtis?
No.
Facilities.
Yeah, I'm taking the facilities. I can win without Jared Curtis. You can. We're winning right now without Jared Curtis. We're selling the stadium out without Jared Curtis. We're getting these new amenities without Jared Curtis. Doesn't mean I don't want him. I want him badly.
Yeah.
But
I mean, and maybe this makes your point. You also got a lot of 2 and 10 without those things too.
We did, but that's not where we are though. What's the old line that Derek Mason used to use?
Yeah.
Are we going to knock down the stadium? We're going to knock down the Huber Center? I mean, no, we're heading in the right direction, and that's not going away if we don't get Jared Curtis.
I agree, and I think I'm going to go the other way on the answer, and this is why. You can always write a series of large checks to do those things. Presuming Jared Curtis is the player that everybody says he is, and that could mean he could not be that guy. He could, for a number of reasons, including health. You just don't know. But assuming he is, I think I'd rather have Curtis, because you can write a check and guarantee those other things and know exactly what they're going to look like. Which maybe that supports your answer. I mean, he could hurt his arm tomorrow and never be the guy, and never you could it could be a Darius Garland kind of thing. I mean, there's a lot.
We had him for 4 games. We had him for 4 games. But I mean, the answer can be both. But Jared Curtis is not responsible for anything that's happened this season at Vanderbilt. Nothing. So I mean, yeah, you can get there both ways. And if it's I'd rather this, I'd rather both of those are good. Those are both outstanding outcomes. There's no doubt about it. But I just think it's more sustainable. I mean, if we start, getting the facilities and keep on winning and things like that, because, there's no guarantee we win with Jared Curtis. If we do get him, there's no guarantee that we're going to win that game or win these games. But we'll see. But look, like I said, I love both, want both. I don't want it to be an either or. But it just seems like facilities is more of a long, because you're right, you can, but we've been around a long time and people haven't been.
Right.
Why are they doing it? They didn't write those checks because Jared Curtis, they didn't know who that was. They wrote those checks because they're seeing a real difference being made on the field. So while I love both, give me the facilities first.
Okay, Vandy Chris 24, this from the chat. Would you make a play for Sam Levitt if we don't land Curtis? I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
It's water wet.
Yes.
Is the sky blue?
Yes, I would. Yeah. I mean, I don't think that we have to sit back and say, okay, who's the best lower level non-power four type of quarterback, because that's what we have to set our sights on. To me, if you're big game hunting, then you're big game hunting. So whether it's Jared Curtis or Levitt or any other major quarterback that hits the transfer portal, I think you're in on anybody. And look, we've got playing time to offer, not just Jared Curtis. That's for anybody.
Well, and let me circle back to a few minutes ago. All the stuff I said about I'm not a big fan of decommitting. Well, hey, Georgia continued to recruit 5-star quarterbacks beyond him. So I don't know what promises were or weren't made, but it's unfair to kind of not say, okay, we don't know what role that did or didn't play.
Yeah, I mean, think about it like this: when Merklinger committed, when the FaZe and Brandon, committed, did Merklinger say or George McIntyre say, "Wait a minute, I was really highly rated"?
Yeah,
that's
just the game.
It's just the game. So and look, we've screamed that we wanted to be part of it, and okay, well, here you are. This is how it's played.
Yeah. That's it for the mailbag, I think. Let me hit refresh.
No, I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, that's it for the mailbag. Do you want to talk hoops for a minute? You got about
just
10
for
minutes.
A second, because I did not get to see the game. You did, but the results. Now, I will say this: I had a couple of Vandy fans bring this up on the show this week, talking about Byington and Ralph talking about the attendance. They were focusing more on Byington, but I mean, look, here's the deal. And look, I love Mark Byington, and I think we got a jewel with that dude, and I don't ever want to lose him. Mm-hmm. But he's got to be realistic. It has to be realistic. You can't take these games against these absolutely putrid basketball teams in the middle of the week and expect to have a sold out. I don't have anything to do with what happened last season. This season hasn't happened yet. Once we start getting real games and things like that really want to get to, but people are not coming to watch Texas Southern. They're not going to do it. Look, if you equated it to football and your non-conference schedule was Mercer, Rhode Island, Texas A&I and Missouri State, people are going to be like, hey, man, we love this program. We love football. We want to watch this, but this is boring. You go beat somebody 49-3 and wonder why the stadium's half empty at halftime, because nobody want to see that. I know you got to have you can't just play, top teams. And I understand that, but, and the South and the Central Florida game looks a little bit better, obviously, but I mean, we're playing the worst of the worst. These teams are not just losing to us; they're losing to everybody. They're bad basketball teams. You want to play this level against somebody who can punch you back in the mouth at home, and then let's go from there. Right now, I don't think it's fair one way or the other to gauge anything.
Well, I mean, you always have a comparison year to year. I mean, they would draw in the past at least 5,000 or 6,000 even for these games, so I don't think it's zero. Now, I will say, January the 7th, first SEC home game, that's against Alabama. Alabama's very, very good, nationally ranked, conference title contender. That's a Wednesday game. And then you have LSU, which I think is okay, on a Saturday. I think you'll have a better barometer for what is coming.
We come January 7th and nobody's there, but Alabama fans are just the usuals. And then I'll be like, okay, we might have a problem, but I don't perceive a problem at the moment.
Well, you already do have a problem, though.
What is it? What's the problem?
Well, it's what I said. You just have the circle of people that you could draw from. You know, the Venn diagrams, they got all these concentric circles. And if you got a bigger one that likes the whole fan base and that's just has shrunk for so long that all the other circles inside that shrink too. You know, people that can come to games or people that don't have, like, we get focused on, well, I can't make the game because, you know, my daughter had a travel tennis tournament or, you know, whatever reason. Like in the past, you had more people. You always had a number of people that had that built-in excuse. The problem is the number of people in the whole thing isn't big enough to overcome that. That's the thing that when you blame it on, well, I can't come because of this. It's the same thing. You and I've been doing this podcast for what, 10 years?
Been a minute.
I mean, have I not been yelling this since the start of when we worked together?
Yeah,
you could
sure
see it happening. You could see it happening, and you don't. It's like when you dig a hole, right? Just to get your head back to ground level, you have to work extremely hard. Like there's part of building it, like it's piling up dirt on top of the ground and building a mountain, right? You have to exert effort just to get to the point where you're at the ground and can start putting dirt above ground.
I get
and
that.
It's effort, whatever way, and they just never put in the effort. You can't. When you neglected stuff in the past, you have to work double time. It's like losing a customer. You sell advertising and radio. Like, what's the worst thing? When one of your clients says, "Hey, I'm not going to renew," because you're like, okay, that's, I might have to make 20 phone calls before I get somebody to replace them. They never worked to replace their customers, and now they have to work, X amount of times is hard. I don't know the number.
Okay.
You can't convince me I'm wrong here.
So not trying to. That is not my goal.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying you were. Okay.
No. Look, you got to have proof of concept. You got to have proof that this is something that. And look, we had a great season last year. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. That's 1 year. That was 1 year and a whole bunch of bad basketball behind it. A whole bunch of bad basketball behind it. They continue to play the way they are now and get into conference season. Those people will be there. I don't care if their goofball daughter has to go to not lacrosse. That would be yours, never mind, or tennis or whoever or whatever the excuse is. People want to be associated with. There's a million reasons why Vanderbilt fans shouldn't have come to Vanderbilt football games for a long time. But look at them now. What's the difference? Yeah. They're winning. You continue to win, they will pile back in. It is really that simple. People love to be associated with winners, A, and B, they're a fun brand of basketball. They're a deep team. They can shoot their butts off, and they're well coached. You keep on this trajectory, and they will be there. I feel 100% confident in that.
Well, there's two things. You need to do everything you can do to get, and the other thing I've said is, like, once people break habits or make new habits, it is very hard to establish old habits. You had people that for a long time were in the habit of going. They are now out of the habit of going. It is hard to get that back. They're also older. But it's got to be two things, right? It's got to be, let's see what part of the old fan base we can salvage would be one. And like, if you haven't done a study on like all the people moving to Nashville and like who are the people that we could realistically have is part of a brand new fan base, you failed. You've not done your job.
Yep.
And that was the thing that just drove me bananas years ago, was the excuse that, oh, well, the growth of Nashville actually works against us. That was actually said. I'm like, are you crazy?
Did they bring new teams to town with them that I didn't know?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, if a Pitt fan moves to Nashville, do they grab fans already in the city and make them Pitt fans too? I don't know how that works,
Yeah, not really sure. All right, brother. I'm at about the 5-minute mark. So if we got any more questions, they better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, have you watched? And I've thought this since the Virginia game, and sometimes like you see a team that looks really good, and you're just like, okay, let's, maybe they just look good. I've been a believer in them since I laid eyes on them a few weeks ago, and I have not budged from that. And I know there's part of me that knows better, just because they got to play somebody. I think Atlantis will tell us a little bit more, but like, UCF was maybe a little bit more proof of concept than I knew at the time. They're playing pretty well.
We struggled a little bit against the bigs again in that was not a game against Virginia, but
yeah,
we struggled against the
everybody's
bigs.
going to struggle against
Yeah,
Virginia's bigs
I
unless
don't
they're
think there's any
Purdue, I think.
question. But if you're going to
Yeah.
attack Vanderbilt, you're going to hit them in the post. I mean, I think that's the case. What you have to worry about if you're playing Vanderbilt, you haven't gotten too far behind for them lighting you up. But if people can control tempo and they can work in the paint, we've got some work to do there. But I mean, I like this team and the depth. You're not going to find many teams that are as deep as this team with people who can potentially, like here's the deal. Let's say one of the Tylers is not playing well that night, something like that. There's still 3 or 4 people who, if they're playing right, can pop 20 on you that night.
Yeah.
That's a great place to be. And you never know who it's going to be. If this guy doesn't show up, well, we're screwed. I don't think there is a guy like that on this team.
Yeah. I mean, in getting Nicholson back, like that's the thing they needed.
Oh, no doubt.
And I think he's still working back into shape. I'm sure he is. They gave him, 3-4 minutes in each half and let him do his thing. And he doesn't even have to be like a huge factor. He just needs to stand there and be big and rebound in the area and throw down a dunk every now and then. And I'm not trying to say that's all he is. I'm not trying to say he's not a skilled player. I'm just saying that the guys around him are good enough. They don't need much from him. And you've got 3, Washington is fairly good. I think Jaden Leverett can help them in spots if he needs to.
I'm looking for him more next year, but yeah, I mean,
he's not if you needed him for 5 minutes, to play out 2 minutes of a half, you're he's a big bodied kid with some skill. And again, I think that allows McLaughlin to not have to play above his station. And I love McLaughlin, man. He is that guy's a dude.
There's some players.
Smart.
Yeah. There's players on this team that was fun to watch, players that are naturally talented, like a Tyler Harris. And then you got guys that you love to see. And I love Byington saying that I got to find some time to get Chandler Bing on the court.
Yeah.
He's way ahead of schedule of what we were expecting for him. Brother, I got to wrap it up, man. So let's put a bow on this.
Yeah. I will say one thing too. I feel like they pay attention to the analytics. If you're a 30-point favorite over somebody in Ken Palm and you win by 20, you're going to drop. If you win by 35, you're going to rise. And committee looks at those. And, I just had so many laughs thinking about Stack's rants about the net and Ken Palm.
Oh, yeah.
You've got to they right now, someone said, I think if you go to Mark Torvik and Torvik and Evan Mia, all those guys, Ken Palm, pretty similar for the most part. Torvik's got a thing where you can take out preseason bias, which is still baked into these. Do you know where they are?
Number 1?
I think they're 5.
5? I knew they were right there at the top. Yeah.
And again, I would say reserve some judgment until they play some teams that are, in their weight class. But man, just watching the talent, I think it's there.
We'll see with this Atlantis tournament. Cool. They're going to run up on Memphis, or do they have to?
Memphis is December the 17th, and I believe that one is there. Which Memphis gave Purdue all it wanted last night. So.
I don't know why you don't just drive through Jackson, Tennessee, and pick me up on the way to the FedEx Forum. We'll go watch that game.
You mean with all my free time?
Yeah, you ain't any busier than I am, buddy. I tell you, but I'll make time for you, not anybody else, but for you.
We'll give that some thought.
I love you. Wow,
right, man.
Wow, just like the ladies in my life.
Some things just go unsaid. Do I have to say it?
I didn't unsay. Yeah, you got to say it. I said it. Man, I knew I wouldn't get one back.
All right. I love you, man.
Oh, you shouldn't say such things to me. All right. You want to know how they can reach me? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, let's do that.
You can find me on, I still say Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at Cheap Seats Bass. And you find me on Facebook under Seabass. And you can always watch online at talkingwesttn.com. I got 2 shows a day from 8 to 11 in the morning. That's called Everybody Talks. And then the sports show at night from 6 to 8. The Cheap Seats in, you ready for this, Chris? Year number 25.
Wow. Good for you. That's a long time in your business.
I'm an old man.
All right. Give our podcast a review and a 5-star rating. If you don't mind, subscribe to YouTube channel. That's free. Vandy 24/7, $99 a year. Sponsorships, chrislee70@gmail.com. Those can definitely go back and improving the product if you're interested at a big enough level. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you again soon with more episodes of the Vandy 24/7 podcast presented by FanDuel.